The night sky over Seoul looked wrong. Taemin noticed it first through the telescope at Yongsan Observatory, where he worked late most nights. The stars were shifting in ways that made no sense. His equipment showed readings that couldn't be real. Two massive objects were appearing in Earth's orbit like they were uncloaking from invisible shields. He called his supervisor, then the military, then anyone who would listen. Within 3 hours, the whole world knew. 2 alien ships hung in space above Earth, each one larger than a city. Taemin didn't sleep that night. Nobody did. The ship stayed silent for 18 hours. News channels showed the same footage over and over. People prayed. People panicked. Some celebrated. Most just waited. When the ships finally moved, they didn't attack. They descended slowly, carefully, like they wanted to be seen. One landed near the border between North and South Korea. The other crashed into the East Sea with a sound like thunder that shook windows in Busan. The first ship was beautiful. It looked like it was made of crystal and light. When the door opened, a figure stepped out wearing armor that shifted colors like oil on water. She was tall, elegant, and clearly female, though not quite human. Her skin had a faint shimmer to it. Her eyes glowed soft blue. She spoke, and somehow everyone understood her, like the words appeared directly in their minds. "I am Commander Vexra of the Crystalline Imperium. I come seeking what is mine by right of discovery. Bring me your champions. Bring me the one called Jiwoo." The second ship was brutal and dark, covered in scars and weapons. The alien who emerged was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with armor that looked like it had survived 1,000 battles. His face was hard, with sharp features and burning orange eyes. He didn't speak gently. His voice boomed across the beach where his ship had landed. "I am General Cross of the Iron Dominion. I claim what I have earned through strength. The one called Jiwoo will be mine. Any who challenge this will be destroyed." The world exploded into chaos. Every government held emergency meetings. The United Nations called urgent sessions. Military forces mobilized, though everyone knew human weapons probably couldn't stop these beings. Scientists and linguists and diplomats all scrambled to understand what was happening. Taemin was pulled from his observatory and brought to a secure facility in Seoul. His expertise in astrophysics made him valuable to the crisis team. Dozens of experts crowded around tables covered in papers and laptop computers, all trying to figure out what these aliens wanted. They both mentioned someone named Jiwoo. One analyst said, "We're searching databases now. It's a common name in Korea." They said champions, and a military officer added, "Maybe they want to fight our best warriors." Taemin studied everything they knew about the 2 aliens. Their ships used technology centuries beyond human understanding. Their species came from different parts of the galaxy. The Crystalline Imperium and the Iron Dominion had been at war for thousands of years. "Why Earth?" Taemin asked. "We have nothing they need. Our technology is primitive compared to theirs. We have no strategic position in the galaxy. This doesn't make sense." Nobody had answers. The aliens gave them 3 days to produce Jiwoo and prepare for something they called the Trial of Worth. 3 days to figure out what they wanted before things got worse. On the second day, Taemin left the facility. He needed air, needed to clear his head. The streets of Seoul were strange. Some areas were empty, people hiding in their homes. Other areas were packed with protesters or believers, or people who refused to let aliens change their daily routine. He found himself near a temporary medical station, set up to help people injured in the panic. That's where he saw her. She moved through the chaos with impossible calm. A young woman, maybe 26 years old, wearing a simple doctor's coat, she treated a child's broken arm with steady hands. She spoke softly to an elderly man having a panic attack. She worked without stopping, without showing any fear. Taemin watched her for several minutes before the building next to the medical station began to collapse. An explosion from somewhere nearby had weakened its structure. People screamed. Everyone ran except her. She ran toward the falling concrete, not away from it. A little girl was trapped underneath a fallen beam. The beam must have weighed hundreds of kilograms. The woman grabbed it with one hand and lifted it like it weighed nothing. She pulled the girl free and carried her to safety. Taemin stood frozen. That wasn't possible. No human could do that. He approached her carefully. "Excuse me, are you all right?" She looked at him with dark, tired eyes. "I'm fine. The child needs attention." She moved past him back to work. "What you just did," Taemin said, following her. That wasn't normal. How did you... I don't know what you mean. She didn't look at him. Please, I have patience. Before he could ask more questions, his phone rang. The crisis team. Get back here now. The aliens are broadcasting again. The screens showed both aliens standing in their respective locations. They spoke simultaneously, their voices overlapping. In 14 days, we will begin the trial of worth. 3 challenges will determine who is worthy. The one called Jiwoo will witness and choose. Earth's future depends on this choice. Do not interfere, the broadcast ended. The crisis team erupted into arguments. What did it mean? What kind of challenges? Why did this Jiwoo person have to choose? Choose what? Taemin thought about the woman at the medical station. Something told him she was important to this, the way she moved, her impossible strength, the calm in her eyes like she'd seen things beyond human understanding. He searched the medical station records. Dr. Park Ji-woo, 26 years old, worked for an international humanitarian organization, no family, no close friends on record, lived alone in a small apartment in Mapo district. He found her as she was leaving the medical station after a 16-hour shift. Dr. Park, we need to talk. She studied him carefully. You're the scientist from the observatory, the one who first detected them. How did you know that? It's been on the news. She kept walking. I can't help you. They're looking for you. Both aliens specifically named you. Do you know why? Jiwoo stopped walking. Her shoulders tensed. When she turned to face him, he saw fear in her eyes for the first time. If I tell you the truth, everything changes. The whole world's understanding of what's happening here changes. Are you ready for that? Taemin thought about the impossible strength he'd witnessed. The way both aliens had spoken her name like she was the most important thing in the galaxy. The mystery of why such powerful beings would come to Earth. Yes, he said. Tell me. Jiwoo looked up at the night sky where the 2 alien ships hung like new stars. They're not here for Earth, they're not here for humanity. They're here for me, and I don't know how to stop them. Jiwoo invited Taemin to her apartment. It was small and neat, with medical textbooks stacked on every surface. She made tea with hands that didn't shake, even though she was about to reveal something that clearly terrified her. 5 years ago I was dying, she began. Her voice was quiet but steady. Genetic disease. The doctors gave me 6 months. I made peace with it. Then one night a ship landed in the field behind the hospital where I was staying. Taemin listened without interrupting. Outside, the world continued its panic about the alien arrival. But in this small apartment, he felt like he was hearing the real story. They weren't like these warriors, Jiwoo continued. They were traders, travelers, neutral parties who moved between the wars. They had medical technology beyond anything human. They said they could save me, but the process would change me. I was dying anyway, so I agreed. She held up her hand. In the dim light, Taemin could see her skin had a very faint shimmer, almost invisible unless you knew to look for it. They used something called nano-reconstruction. Tiny machines rebuilt my DNA, cell by cell. It saved my life, but it also made me partially alien. I'm not fully human anymore. That's why you could lift that beam, Taemin said. That's the smallest part of it. Jiwoo stood and walked to her window. I don't need to sleep more than 2 hours a night. I heal from injuries in minutes. I can understand any language after hearing it once. I can see in the dark. I'm stronger, faster, smarter than any human should be, and I've been hiding it for 5 years, terrified someone would find out and turn me into a lab experiment. But the aliens found out anyway. Jiwoo nodded. The traders must have recorded my transformation. That data would be valuable. Somehow these 2 warriors learned about me. A human-alien hybrid, something that shouldn't exist. Over the next week, Taemin helped Jiwoo hide from the government agents searching for anyone named Jiwoo. There were thousands of people with that name in Korea alone, which bought them time. But the aliens were patient. They knew she would reveal herself eventually. Taemin spent hours researching the Crystalline Imperium and Iron Dominion. He found scattered references in radio signals Earth had intercepted over the years, though nobody had understood them at the time. Both empires were ancient, powerful, and locked in an eternal war. But nothing explained why they would care about one hybrid woman on a backwater planet. On the 8th day, Commander Vexra appeared in Central Seoul, not attacking, just standing in the middle of a plaza, waiting. Crowds gathered but kept their distance. Police and military surrounded her, weapons ready. though everyone knew those weapons were useless. Jiwoo watched the news coverage from Taemin's apartment, where she'd been hiding. I have to go talk to her. This isn't fair to everyone else. They're scared because of me. Wait, Taemin said. Let me go first. Let me see what she wants. He approached Commander Vexra carefully. Up close, she was even more otherworldly. Her armor moved like liquid, and her eyes seemed to see through him rather than at him. You are the astronomer, Vexra said, the one who hides Jiwoo. Tell her I mean no harm. I only wish to speak with her. Why? Taemin demanded. Why are you here? What do you want with her? Vexra smiled, and it was beautiful and sad at the same time. I am the last of the royal bloodline. My people are dying not from war, but from loneliness. We have become so perfect, so crystalline in our nature that we can no longer change. We cannot adapt. We cannot grow. Jiwoo represents hope. Her hybrid nature makes her compatible with my biology. She could save my entire species from slow extinction. Before Taemin could respond, the ground shook. General Cross had arrived, his heavy footsteps making the pavement crack. He stood across from Vexra, ignoring the humans scattering in panic. You speak of salvation, Cross said, his voice like grinding stone. I speak of strength. The Iron Dominion has conquered 1,000 worlds, but our bloodlines weaken. Too much war, too much death of our best warriors. Jiwoo's hybrid vigor could restore us. She would be honored above all others. Empress of billions. You would cage her in duty, Vexra replied coldly. You would cage her in worship, Cross shot back. They argued in front of cameras that broadcast to the entire world. And slowly humanity began to understand. These warriors weren't here to conquer Earth. They weren't here to destroy humanity. They were here to court someone, to win someone's hand. This was about love, or at least what passed for love among beings of such immense power. Jiwoo finally emerged from hiding. She walked into the plaza alone, her chin high, her fear pushed down deep. I'm here. Stop threatening these people. They have nothing to do with this. Both aliens turned to her. Taemin saw something shift in their expressions. Vexra's cold elegance softened. Cross's brutal intensity became almost gentle. They both looked at Jiwoo like she was the most precious thing in the universe. You are even more remarkable in person, Vexra said softly. She produced something from her armor, a crystalline flower that bloomed with light. I brought you a gift from my homeworld. It blooms only in the presence of compatible life. See how it glows for you. Cross knelt, making himself smaller, less threatening. I have fought for 300 years. I have never knelt before anyone. But for you, I would kneel. I would lay down my weapons. I would give you an empire. Jiwoo looked between them, then at Taemin, then at the cameras. The trial of worth, you want me to choose between you? Yes, they said together. And if I choose neither? The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Vexra spoke. That would be your right. But my people would be disappointed. They have waited so long for hope. My warriors would see it as an insult, Cross added. They are not patient like the crystalline ones. They might take action I could not control. It was a gentle threat, but a threat nonetheless. Choose one of us or face consequences. That night, back in hiding, Jiwoo broke down. I don't want this. I don't want to be their salvation or their prize. I just want to be a doctor. I just want to help people. Taemin held her while she cried. Somewhere during the past week, his feelings had changed. He'd started this wanting to solve a mystery. Now he was terrified of losing someone he'd come to care about deeply. There has to be another way, he said. Some option they're not seeing. What option? I'm one person. They're offering me entire civilizations. What could possibly compete with that? Taemin thought about humanity. Weak, short-lived, primitive humanity. What could they possibly offer that would impress beings who commanded fleets and conquered worlds? But an idea was forming. A crazy, impossible idea. We need to change the nature of the trial. Make it about something other than power or technology. Make it about something humans actually understand. Like what? Like love, Taemin said. Real love. Not worship or duty or genetic compatibility. Actual partnership between equals. Jiwoo looked at him with those dark eyes that had seen so much. You think humans can teach ancient warrior species about love? I think we have to try. Because the alternative is losing you to beings who see you as a solution rather than a person. The trial of worth would begin in 6 days. Taemin had 6 days to figure out how primitive humanity could possibly compete with the wonders of the galaxy. He had 6 days to prove that sometimes The greatest strength is knowing you're weak. The trial of worth began on a clear morning in the mountains outside Seoul. Both aliens had chosen the location, a wide valley surrounded by peaks. Thousands of humans watched from a safe distance. Millions more watched on screens around the world. Jiwoo stood in the center of the valley wearing simple clothes. She looked small between the two towering alien warriors. Taemin stood nearby, his heart pounding. The world leaders had reluctantly agreed to let him participate, mainly because they had no better ideas. Commander Vexra spoke first. The first challenge is strength. Jiwoo must know that whoever she chooses can protect her from any threat in the universe. She raised one elegant hand. The mountain to the east exploded. Not with bombs or weapons, but with pure energy that shot from her fingertips. Rock and stone vaporized. When the dust cleared, the mountain was simply gone, replaced by a flat plain. The watching humans gasped. Some screamed. Taemin felt his stomach drop. How could anyone compete with that? General Cross stepped forward. Impressive, but strength is more than distance destruction. It is presence. It is will. He slammed his fist into the ground. The earth rippled like water. Cracks spread across the valley floor. A new canyon opened, 50 meters deep, carved by a single punch. Both aliens turned to Jiwoo, waiting for her reaction. She looked pale but composed. You can both destroy. I understand. You're very powerful, Vexra smiled. We do this to show we can protect you. No force in the galaxy could threaten you with either of us at your side. Taemin stepped forward. His legs felt weak, but he forced himself to move. May I offer a different demonstration of strength? Cross laughed. Human, you can barely lift your own body weight. What strength can you show? Not my strength, Taemin said. Ours. He raised a radio and spoke into it. Within minutes, vehicles began arriving. Trucks, cars, buses. They carried people. Hundreds of people. Then thousands. They came from Seoul, from Busan, from villages across Korea. They brought tools and supplies. Yesterday, your displays of power destroyed a village 12 kilometers from here, Taemin said. 50 families lost their homes. So we're going to rebuild it, not with energy weapons or earth-shaking punches. With human hands, what followed was organized chaos. Engineers directed construction. Volunteers carried materials. Children passed bricks in assembly lines. Elderly women cooked food for the workers. Musicians played to keep spirits high. A whole community formed in minutes, working together with purpose. Jiwoo watched with tears in her eyes. She joined them, using her hybrid strength to carry heavy beams. But she wasn't alone. Dozens of humans helped, ropes and pulleys and teamwork achieving what individual strength could not. By sunset, the village was rebuilt. Not perfectly, not with alien technology, but with human determination. The families returned to new homes. Children played in streets that had been rubble that morning. Vexra looked thoughtful. This is strength through unity. Interesting, but still fragile. One disease, one disaster could destroy them all. Then we rebuild again, Taemin said simply. That's what we do. The second challenge came the next day. Wisdom, Vexra announced. Jiwoo deserves a partner of great knowledge and understanding. She produced a device, a crystal that projected images in the air. I offer you the knowledge of 10,000 years. Cures for every disease. Understanding of how the universe works. Technology to make Earth a paradise. I offer you wisdom that would make your species immortal and powerful. The projections showed wonders. Cities that floated in clouds. Ships that could cross galaxies in seconds. People living for thousands of years without aging. It was beautiful and perfect and overwhelming. General Cross stepped forward with his own offering. Wisdom is not just knowledge. It is strategy. I have conquered 100 worlds, won 1,000 battles. I offer you tactical wisdom. The ability to see patterns, to predict outcomes, to never be defeated. With my knowledge, humanity could become a warrior race to rival any in the galaxy. His projections showed different wonders. Battle strategies, defense systems, ways to turn Earth into an impenetrable fortress. Ways to make humans stronger, faster, better warriors. Both offerings were incredible. Both would transform humanity overnight. Jiwoo looked overwhelmed by the possibilities. Taemin's mouth was dry. How could he counter this? What wisdom could humans offer that aliens hadn't already mastered? Then he thought of something. May I show you something? He connected his own laptop to their projection system. What he showed wasn't beautiful. He showed human history, wars, genocides, slavery, environmental destruction. mistakes and cruelty and ignorance. He showed humanity at its worst. The watching crowd murmured uncomfortably. Why was he showing this? This is us, Taemin said. This is what we've done. We've been horrible to each other. We've destroyed our own world. We've made terrible choices, he paused. But here's what makes us wise. He changed the projection, showed the civil rights movement, showed people fighting to end slavery, showed environmental protection efforts, showed humans learning from mistakes, changing laws, changing hearts, becoming better. You offer us perfection, Taemin said to Vexra. You offer us dominance, he said to Cross. But the wisest thing we ever learned is that we're not perfect and we don't have to be. We learned to change. We learned to grow. We learned to admit when we're wrong and do better. He turned to both aliens. When was the last time your civilizations fundamentally changed? When did you last admit you were wrong about something important and chose a new path? The silence stretched. Finally, Vexra spoke slowly. The crystalline Imperium has followed the same principles for 8,000 years. The Iron Dominion has maintained its warrior code for 12,000 years, Cross added. Exactly, Taemin said. You reached perfection and stopped growing. We're still growing, still learning, still becoming something new. That's our wisdom. Knowing we don't know everything. Being willing to change. Jiwoo was staring at him with an expression he couldn't read. Pride, hope, something else? The third challenge came on the final day. Devotion, both aliens said together. This was the ultimate test. Vexra created something impossible. She opened a tier in reality itself, showing Jiwoo another dimension. I offer you a universe of your own. You would be its goddess, shaping reality according to your will. You would want for nothing. Every desire fulfilled instantly. Eternal life in a paradise of your own design. The tier in reality showed glimpses of impossible beauty. Worlds where Jiwoo could fly, could create life with a thought, could experience pleasures beyond human understanding. It was tempting beyond words. General Cross created his own offering. He transmitted a signal to space. Within an hour, a fleet arrived. Hundreds of ships carrying representatives from every world in his dominion. They all knelt toward Jiwoo. I offer you an empire, Cross said. Trillions of beings who would call you Empress. Worlds without number as your domain. Power and respect across half the galaxy. You would never be alone, never be unimportant, never be forgotten. Both offerings were beyond imagination, a universe or an empire, godhood or rulership. Either would give Jiwoo everything a being could want. Taemin felt his hope dying. How could he compete with this? What could one human possibly offer against such wonders? But he had to try. For Jiwoo, he had to try. He stepped forward and his voice was quiet compared to the aliens' booming declarations. I can't offer you a universe. I can't offer you an empire. I can't give you power or immortality or worship. I can only offer you myself. He looked at Jiwoo and his heart was in his eyes. I offer you equality. Not a goddess above me, not an empress I serve, but a partner beside me. I offer you the right to be wrong, to be flawed, to be human even though you're not fully human anymore. I offer you someone who will disagree with you, challenge you, grow with you. His voice grew stronger. They offer you everything. I offer you choice. The choice to simply be yourself. Jiwoo's eyes filled with tears. Before she could respond, alarms blared across the valley. Ships appeared in the sky, but not from the crystalline Imperium or Iron Dominion. Someone else had found them, and they wanted the hybrid for themselves. The ships came from everywhere. Dozens of them, each from a different species. Word had spread across the galaxy about Jiwoo, the human-alien hybrid. Some wanted to study her. Some wanted to capture her. Some wanted to sell her to the highest bidder. They descended on the valley like vultures. Commander Vexra's elegant demeanor turned ice cold. Bounty hunters, slavers, they have no honor. Her armor shifted into weapon mode, crystalline blades extending from her arms. General Cross roared with rage. They dare interrupt the trial of worth? His own armor activated, weapons charging with orange light. I will destroy them all. But there were too many. Even these two powerful warriors couldn't fight dozens of ships at once. The bounty hunters spread out, surrounding the valley. Some began firing on the human crowds. People screamed and ran. The carefully organized trial dissolved into chaos. Jiwoo stood frozen in the center. All of this was because of her. People were dying because she existed. Taemin grabbed her hand. We need to get you out of here. No, she said quietly. Running just makes it worse. They'll chase me forever. They'll hurt more people. A ship landed nearby. Aliens emerged, carrying weapons that looked like they could vaporize a person instantly. They moved toward Jiwoo with single-minded purpose. Vexra destroyed 3 of them with a blast of energy, but more kept coming. Cross physically threw a ship out of the sky, but 2 more took its place. Taemin's mind raced. They couldn't fight this. Humanity had no weapons that could stop alien technology. Earth's militaries were scrambling to respond, but they'd arrived too late. In minutes, Jiwoo would be captured, and there was nothing anyone could do. Unless... He pulled out his phone and started broadcasting. Not to the government. Not to the military. To everyone. Every social media platform. Every news channel. Every human being who could hear him. My name is Taemin. I'm standing in a valley outside Seoul with a woman named Jiwoo. She's a doctor who has saved hundreds of lives. She's kind and brave, and she's dedicated her life to helping others. Right now, aliens from across the galaxy are trying to take her, not because she's done anything wrong, but because she's different, because she's valuable. His voice was shaking, but he kept talking. Jiwoo is human. She's one of us, and we don't let people take what's ours. I'm asking everyone who can hear this. Help us, come help us protect her. Show the galaxy what happens when you threaten one of our own. He sent the broadcast and waited. For a moment, nothing happened. Then everything happened. Cars started arriving. Thousands of them. People came from everywhere, driving toward the valley. They brought whatever they could use as weapons. Baseball bats, kitchen knives, farming tools. Some brought nothing but their bare hands. They came anyway. A bounty hunter ship tried to land near the highway. A farmer rammed it with his tractor. The ship wobbled and crashed. More humans swarmed it, smashing its sensors with rocks and hammers. The alien pilot fled in confusion. An elderly woman figured out how to hack into Seoul's satellite network. She fed false coordinates to the bounty hunter ships, sending them crashing into each other. When military officials tried to stop her, she just smiled and kept typing. Students at universities created a virus using code they learned from video games. They uploaded it to any alien signal they could find. It didn't destroy the ships, but it made their systems glitch and stutter, buying precious seconds. A grandmother coordinated civilian defense using a smartphone app. Group A, there's a ship landing near the school. Group B, reinforce the eastern perimeter. Group C, evacuate the wounded. She commanded thousands like a general, and they listened. The bounty hunters were confused. They were used to conquering primitive worlds. They expected fear and submission. Instead, they got farmers with tractors and grandmothers with smartphones and students who hacked their systems with borrowed laptops. One alien made the mistake of landing and trying to capture a human child to use as leverage. 20 mothers descended on it with whatever they could grab. The alien's armor was impenetrable to human weapons, but they buried it under sheer numbers, holding it down until it couldn't move. Taemin watched in amazement. Humanity had no right to win this fight. The technology gap was too large. But humans kept coming, kept fighting, kept refusing to give up. They adapted on the fly, learning from each encounter, sharing information through social media, coordinating without any central command. A bounty hunter fired a weapon that should have vaporized a city block. A physics professor saw it charging and calculated the energy pattern. She shouted instructions. 50 people with car mirrors positioned themselves just right. The blast reflected back at the ship, disabling it. The professor fainted from exhaustion afterward, but she'd done it. Vexra paused in her fighting to watch the humans. This is impossible. They should be running. They should surrender. They're insane, Cross said, but there was respect in his voice. They fight like true warriors. Reckless, brave, stupid warriors. More humans kept arriving. They brought medical supplies for the wounded. They brought food and water. They brought cameras to document everything. They brought their children to show them what humanity could do when pushed. They brought hope. Taemin ran to the observatory equipment they'd set up for the trial. He had one idea, one desperate gamble. Using stolen alien technology and human ingenuity, he created a gravitational pulse. It shouldn't work. The math was sloppy, the execution was crude, and the chances of success were minimal. He fired it anyway. The pulse spread across the valley, disrupting the electromagnetic fields that powered the bounty hunter ships. Every weapon went offline. Every shield dropped. Every system failed. It lasted only 30 seconds before the makeshift device overloaded and exploded, but 30 seconds was enough. In those 30 seconds, humans swarmed over the disabled ships. They smashed engines with sledgehammers. They spray-painted sensors. They tied ropes around landing gear and pulled ships over with trucks. It was chaotic and ridiculous and somehow effective. The bounty hunters who could still move their ships fled. They'd come expecting easy prey and found something terrifying instead. They'd found humans protecting their own. Word would spread across the galaxy. Earth was protected by beings with more courage than sense, and if you wanted to take something from them, you'd pay in blood. As the last hostile ship disappeared into the atmosphere, the humans erupted in cheers. They'd done it. Primitive, weak, technologically inferior humans had driven off an alien invasion force. Jiwoo stood in the center of the valley, tears streaming down her face. Thousands of people she'd never met had risked their lives for her. Because Taemin told them she was one of them. Because humans don't abandon their own. Vexra approached slowly. I have witnessed 10,000 years of warfare. I have seen empires rise and fall. But I have never seen a people unite like this. For one person. For someone most of them had never met. This is beyond my understanding. Cross nodded, his orange eyes thoughtful. The Iron Dominion values strength. But we have forgotten this kind of strength. We fight for glory and conquest. We have forgotten how to fight for each other. A young girl approached Jiwoo, holding a flower she'd picked from the battlefield. Are you okay, Doctor? My mom said you help people, so we came to help you. Jiwoo took the flower with shaking hands. She looked at Taemin, then at the two alien warriors, then at the thousands of humans who'd answered the call. She understood now what she'd been missing, what she'd been searching for. Family, community, belonging, not because she was special or powerful or valuable, but because she was one of them. She knew what her choice would be. But first the aliens had one more revelation to share, one final truth about humanity that would change everything. The valley was quiet after the battle. Medical teams treated the wounded. Engineers assessed the damage. The world watched and waited to see what would happen next. Jiwoo's choice would determine everything. But first, Commander Vexira raised her hand. Before you decide, there is something you must know. Something we have kept from Earth. A truth about your species that changes everything. General Cross nodded. We have been dishonest. The trial of worth was not just about winning you. It was about determining if your species deserves to know its own history. Taemin felt a chill. What are you talking about? Vexra created a hologram. It showed Earth, but not Earth as it was now. Earth millions of years ago. Humanity did not evolve naturally on this planet. Your species was placed here. The hologram expanded, showing dozens of other worlds. Each one had humans on it. Some were primitive, some were advanced, but all were recognizably human. There was a precursor race, Vexra continued. Beings who existed before any current civilization. They created humanity as an experiment. They seeded your species across many worlds to see how you would develop in different environments. Most of those colonies failed, Cross added, destroyed by nature, by war, or absorbed by other species. Earth was thought to be the last pure human population, untouched by outside influence until recently. Taemin's mind reeled. We're not from Earth? We're aliens too? You are ancient, Vexra said. Older than my people. Older than the Iron Dominion. Your species predates most civilizations in the galaxy, but you remain primitive, isolated, unaware of your heritage. The hologram changed, showing DNA structures. The precursors designed humans with a unique trait, unlimited adaptive potential. Every other species reaches a peak in their evolution and then stagnates. We become perfect at one thing and can no longer change, but humans never stop adapting. Biologically, culturally, technologically, you are always becoming something new. That is why Jiwoo matters, Cross said. When the alien nanotechnology merged with her DNA, it activated dormant precursor genes. She became a bridge between old and new. Her genetic code holds the key to restoring adaptive potential to other species. Jiwoo stared at her hands. So I'm valuable because I can give other species the ability to change? Yes, Vexra said softly. My people have been crystalline and perfect for so long that we cannot adapt anymore. We are dying slowly, unable to evolve with changing circumstances. Your DNA could save us. My warriors grow weaker with each generation, Cross admitted. We have perfected combat, but we cannot change our nature. We are locked into being warriors. Your genetic gift could free us, the watching crowd murmured. Around the world, humans process this information. They were aliens. They were an ancient experiment. They were somehow special. Taemin spoke quietly. You could have just taken her DNA, run tests. Why the trial of worth? Why the courtship? Vexra looked uncomfortable. Because taking would make us no better than the bounty hunters. We wanted Jiwoo to choose willingly, to share her gift rather than have it stolen. And we needed to understand you, Cross added, to see if humans truly possessed this adaptive potential, or if it was just genetic data. We needed to witness it ourselves. You did, Taemin said. You watched humans adapt to impossible circumstances. You watched us learn and change and grow in real time. We turned farming equipment into weapons. We coordinated thousands without training. We hacked alien systems with primitive computers. We refused to follow the rules of how warfare should work. Yes. Vexra's voice held something like awe. We saw it. The adaptability is not just in your DNA. It is in your culture, in how you think, in how you refuse to accept that something is impossible. General Cross stepped forward. I came here to win Jiwoo so my people could become adaptable again through her genetics. But I realize now that genetics is not enough. We must learn to think like you. To be messy and chaotic and willing to fail, we must remember how to change. Vexra nodded. I sought salvation through Jiwoo's DNA. But watching humans fight today, I understand that true salvation cannot be injected or inherited. It must be learned. It must be chosen. She turned to Jiwoo and bowed deeply. I withdraw my claim. You owe me nothing, but I ask permission to send scholars from my people to Earth. Let them study not your genetics, but your culture. Teach us how to be alive again, how to embrace chaos and change. Cross knelt, making himself small before Jiwoo. I also withdraw. I will not take you from your people. But I ask that you accept young warriors from the Iron Dominion as students. Teach them that true strength is not just physical. Teach them what I saw today, that the greatest warriors fight for each other, not for glory. Jiwoo looked at both aliens. These ancient, powerful beings were asking humanity for help, asking to learn from the species they'd thought primitive. You're really withdrawing? Both of you? Yes, they said together. Why? You could have fought each other, forced me to choose. Vexra smiled. Because we learned something during this trial. You humans have a saying. The journey matters more than the destination. We were so focused on winning you that we forgot to ask what you wanted. That is not love. That is possession. And possession is not strength, Cross added. Taemin showed us that. He offered you freedom to choose, including choosing neither of them. That takes more courage than any battle. Jiwoo turned to Taemin. He stood there exhausted and injured from the fight, held together by determination and hope. He'd offered her nothing but himself. No empire, no universe, just partnership. She took his hand. I choose Earth, I choose humanity. Not because we're perfect, but because we're still growing. You two represent civilizations at their peak, beautiful, powerful, eternal, but unchanging. I want to be part of something that's still becoming, still learning, still making mistakes and getting better. Taemin's eyes filled with tears. Are you sure? They can give you so much more than I can. They can give me everything except what I actually want, Jiwoo said. They can give me worship, duty, responsibility, power. But you give me choice. You give me the chance to be myself, flawed and uncertain and human. She looked at the crowd of humans who'd fought for her, at the grandmother who'd coordinated defense from a smartphone, at the farmer who'd rammed a spaceship, at the students who'd hacked alien systems, at the mothers who'd protected children with their bodies. This is my family, she said. Chaotic, messy, stubborn, beautiful humanity. I choose them. 6 months later, Taemin and Jiwoo stood at the observatory where it all began. The facility had been expanded into the Galactic Cultural Exchange Center. Alien students walked through the halls, learning from human teachers. A young crystalline scholar asked her human teacher why humans told jokes. Your humor makes no logical sense. Why do you laugh at things that are not funny? The teacher grinned. That's exactly why we do it. Because it makes no sense. Because being logical all the time is boring. Laughter is how we deal with chaos. The crystalline scholar attempted a laugh. It sounded wrong, mechanical. But she tried again. And again, learning through failure, learning to embrace imperfection. In the training yard, young Iron Dominion warriors learned meditation from a human monk. Strength is not just muscle, the monk explained. It is knowing when not to fight. It is protecting those weaker than you. It is choosing peace when war would be easier. One warrior struggled with the concept. But we are bred for combat. How can we be warriors who do not fight? By fighting for others instead of for glory, another human said. By using your strength to build instead of destroy. Jiwoo worked in the medical center where her unique abilities helped her treat both human and alien patients. She was no longer hiding what she was. She was celebrated for it. Dr. Park Jiwoo, the hybrid who chose Earth. Taemin continued his research, now analyzing signals from friendly alien civilizations eager to establish relations with humanity. The species that had faced down bounty hunters with tractors and smartphones. The species that refused to follow galactic rules about how primitive worlds should behave. Commander Vexra visited occasionally. She'd changed. Her rigid, perfect demeanor had softened. She'd learned to appreciate imperfection. She brought gifts of art from her world and asked for human music in return. Cultural exchange, not conquest. General Cross sent monthly reports about his warriors' progress. They were learning agriculture, learning diplomacy, learning that being strong meant more than winning fights. The Iron Dominion was changing slowly but surely, guided by human teachers. As Taemin and Jiwoo watched alien children and human children playing together in the observatory gardens, Jiwoo asked, "Do you ever think about what they offered me? A universe of my own. An empire of trillions." Taemin smiled. "Do you regret choosing this instead?" Jiwoo watched a crystalline child tell a terrible joke and laugh at her own failure. She watched an iron warrior gently help a human child who'd fallen. She watched cultures blending, learning from each other, growing together. "I chose something better," she said. "I chose possibility. They offered me destinations. You offered me a journey. And the journey is so much more interesting." In orbit above Earth, human ships prepared for their first true voyage beyond the solar system. They were crude compared to alien vessels. They were inefficient and uncomfortable and held together,